Hi and welcome to the second of two videos on how to apply for educational visits using the Evolve online system. So I'm going to assume you've watched the first video about how to apply for outline permission and obviously I've basically gone in with the test visit that we did on the last video. I've gone into the EVC account and approved that, so it's ready to go with this next stage. You might not get your outline permission approved. If I look at the track button here and go into the staff account, which is the way you'd go into it, you might get one. If I go into the draft button here, I can see that the one I've applied for has been approved. You've got a tick there that shows that the people who needed to approve it have done. There might be a cross there, but there'll be a note on the forms to say why it's been declined. It might be that cover is not possible. It might be that it's not a good idea to run that trip for some reason, but that should be there for you to see. So this one's been approved. We can carry on with it. So click on the orange button to continue editing the form. And you can see on the left-hand side now we've got quite a few other questions we need to answer for this trip to be approved or to be considered to be approved. Excuse me. So the first one is the insurance category. So if I click on there, I can see that we've got some guidance here as to what insurance category it might be. Now, for the purposes of this training, we're treating this as a residential trip, but not an overseas one. And we're going to see here, we're going to choose which one we need to do. So because it's not overseas, and we've also said that it's not going to involve any adventurous activities, we don't have to do a notification form. But if you were taking students or applying to take students overseas or to do anything that's got an adventurous activity attached to it, you would need to submit a notification form. And that would be a question that would pop up here. And just to show you what that would look like, if I look at the notification form, it looks like this. It's available in the Resources tab of Evolve. And this form would need sending to the County Council Insurance Services via myself well in advance of your visit. So, but we're not going to bother with that this time. So we're going to say this is category B because it is, it does need it's got some risk requiring competent leadership. It's an overnight visit. It's residential, but it's not one that is a potentially, excuse me, which is a potentially hazardous one. So I've selected a B and now need to upload my insurance form by clicking this blue button. I'm going to click that. I'm going to give it a name, EB Insurance, rather imaginatively, and then choose file. I'm going to find my test insurance file and click to continue that one. So that's my insurance attached. Okay, so the next thing is about venues or external providers. So if I imagine I'm doing a bit of geography fieldwork, staying with a provider that's going to do that, let's say someone like the Field Studies Council, I'm going to say, yes, I'm using a venue and they are also an external provider. They provide services, not just a place to stay. So I'm using definitely one of those two. I might be doing everything myself, camping, for example, but in most cases you will be using a venue, especially for a residential overnight visit. So I click continue. It's asking me now to type in the name of my venue or provider. So I'm going to say, let's say Field Studies Council is a well-known provider. So now it pops up, see here, I've got all my different field studies centres that I could be staying in. So I'm just going to choose one of these. Let's choose the first one. There we go. I can see it's got this CADI logo, which means it's got a listing on the CADI website, which gives information about providers. And the LOTC badge is the Learning Outside the Classroom quality mark. So that gives me a bit of a guarantee to the quality of the provision. But I'm going to select that's where I'm staying. And I'm going to say, well, yeah, it's an external provider. It's not just a venue. They are providing services. I'm going to click add. So that adds it to my application. And I could obviously click the plus and I can add another approved provider that's pre-exists on the system, or I can also add one that's not existed before, and I can add that to the database. But for now, that's my external providers completed, so I click continue. Now it's asking me for the address there, because I've selected a pre-existing one, the address is there, so I'm going to click continue, but again, you could click none of the above and you could add your own address that you're going to be staying at. So the next sections, the pre-visit and the travel arrangements are all done. I can now click on transport company, and this is selecting who you're taking your coach or minibus driver with. Please select the travel provider. So if I click on the plus, there'll be a drop down, and the ones we use more often for visits from Carson should be there. You've got Rebound and you've got tap-ins and pull-ins, etc. So I'm just going to use tend to go to Rebound mostly. The reason why it's yellow is it's been checked as a provider, and a form has been received back from them. If you're choosing one of these others that has not had a form, then do see me about it first, just to make sure they have been checked over and they've got the required certification. So I'm going to select rebound because I know that's done, and click continue. So that's my transport company done. Now, volunteer drivers is a bit of a new thing on the system, and this is just triple checking if you are using any parental drivers at all to drive students around. Because even though you might think that's that's something taken care of, we need to make sure we gather information about anybody who's driving any of our students around on any school visits. So if I was to click yes to that and click continue, then it's asking me for a volunteer driver form. Again, those are available in the resources tab, just to show what that form looks like. Looks like this, and that's really important. We collect that and log that. It's got their names, addresses, any details of penalty points, registration of the vehicle they're going to use, name of the insurance company, etc. And we get the driver code that basically entitles us to look through their driver history. So that's really important. You get one of those filled in and attached to the form. We're going to go back because I'm going to say no, we're not going to do that in this case. Click continue. So we've done staffing and justify staffing. Now, attendees is really important that we look at, and we've got a register of who is on the visit. So the first thing I actually do is to say how many from each year group. So I'm going to say we're taking year 10 and year 11. I can hold down control and click multiple year groups. I'm going to say we're taking 6 of one and we're going to take 7 of the other. And now what you need to do is click the orange pencil button here to actually add a register of the students. So at this point we are going to look at student level data. So on there I can now see, I can scroll down and I've got accompanying staff, which we added on the outline approval stage. It's Mr. Kelly, myself, no other adults coming, and I've got lots of different boxes here. We'll come back to these tick boxes in a second, but for here I'm going to click on the orange pencil to add some students to my list. So I can search by gender or year group. I'm just going to select a random 13 students for this. So if I go to year group, we'll go to year 10, and we'll also go to, let's say, male only, and we'll search. So I said we said 6 male, so I'm just going to select the first 6, 1, 2, 3. As I click them, they basically get added to the visit, and then I'm going to go back to the left-hand side. And I'm going to select year 11, and I'm going to say female. Search again. And I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got my students there now. Click continue. That will take me back to the previous screen. I can see all my students there. The beauty of this bit is that I can now, because this links seamlessly to Integris, I can now add the fields I want to. So I'm going to add the telephone number for the home contact, email address. I'm not sure where student mobile comes from. We certainly haven't got that. I'm going to add their house. I'm going to add their date of birth. And then I've got various things here. Are they in care? Are they DPP, SEN students, for example? I can add if they're eligible free school meals, their ethnicity, any medical details, dietary needs, and then all of that is added to a spreadsheet, or like an online spreadsheet there. And by clicking the download CSV button at the bottom of the page, that will download an Excel file that I can print off or keep digitally and take with me that's got all the details for the students that are going on my visit. Now this is really important we do this, because on completion of the application, if it's successful, then a copy of this goes to the attendance office, so the attendance officer will then know exactly who is on your visit. It's really important you do this section that has the student register. So for now, I'm just going to go back to form. There we go, and I can see that my register has been copied through to this box here. As it says at the bottom, the visit won't be processed on the basis of the intended number of attendees, and you can amend this right even after the visit has been approved. So if you get the visit approved and then 2 students don't come, you can take them off the register, and that means you'll not have to do that again. You will, however, need to, on the morning of going on your visit, let the attendance office know if there are any changes. So we've done our attendee section. I'm going to click continue. Next bit down is for first aider. Click on that. So will a qualified first aider? Yes, there will be. And a bit of guidance on that. You will need to have a first aider with you. Certainly if you are the only person or the 2 staff on the trip, you'll need to have a first aider with you, unless you're doing quite a short journey and at the venue you're going to, there's going to be a first aider. But if you've got any more guidance, then do come and speak to me about that. So if I click on continue, it'll give me a list. Who's the name of the first aider? So I'm going to say it's me. And from there I can choose which kind of first aid have I got. Well, I've got, lucky me, first aid at work, 3 days. continue. So I've got a few more left to do. It's asking for a copy of my parental letter, which I of course sent many weeks ago. So I'll call that EV letter, click on choose file, pick my test letter, upload that. That's that bit done. And now also need to answer any questions about free school meals. Am I taking any free school meals away over lunchtime? In this case, no, I'm not. But if I was, I will show you what it looks like. Click yes, click continue. It just basically says, please inform dining hall so they can pick up packed lunches if they're going to be away for a day when they would normally get a free lunch from the canteen. Nearly done. So let's save the most important to last. So risk assessments. So if I click on that, I can see here I've got two boxes to look at: generic risk assessments and altered that apply to the visit. So you can actually apply a risk assessment that is standard. So there is a generic coach travel and a generic minibus travel. The DV risk assessment I do need to renew, so please don't use that one. But the coach and minibus travel one, if you are using a hired coach or you're using the college minibus, certainly do tick that one. I'm going to tick the coach one because we are doing a coach travel one, and click continue. Now, just applying that generic risk assessment to your application is not sufficient to be safe. You need to familiarise yourself with that risk benefit analysis. You need to follow it, and you need to make sure that all staff on the visit, if you're the visit leader, do exactly the same. So do not think it's just good enough just to, that is the risk assessment process done. Other risk assessments applicable to this visit. It's unusual to have just a generic one because you're going somewhere and you're doing something when you get off the coach or the minibus. And so therefore, in this case, if I'm going on a residential visit, I'm going to have quite a detailed risk assessment. And in the resources tab, you can find the risk benefit analysis form, which is this one. Now, it's really important that if you're unsure about risk benefit analysis and risk assessment, you come and have a conversation with me. But to briefly introduce this, obviously top section, you've got to fill this in. Who's covered? Everybody on the visit needs to be covered by the risk assessment. It needs to cover everybody's there. In the first box here, you're talking about why you're doing this. Not why you're doing the risk assessment, why you're doing the activity. What are you trying to get out of it? What's the point of going on this visit or this trip? You know, what are the students and the staff going to get out of this visit? What you then do is you break down that visit into its component tasks. You can add, certainly you can add more rows than this if you want to. And that could be the journey to and from your destination, and then for each activity, a section for that. It could also include a section for the nighttime element of your visit or any evening activities you're doing. And for each one of these rows, the first box is about, you know, just naming that specific element of your visit. The second box was going to be what are you trying to get out from that. So if it's the first box is about my journey to my destination, the outcome is obviously getting there safe all together in one piece. And then the significant issues to be considered is another way to think about this bit is what might go wrong or what are the risks, what might happen that you need to be aware of. And then lastly, reasonable and practical solutions. What are you going to do to make sure that these issues are not problems? And this is, remember, the whole benefit of risk assessment is to make sure that the risk is managed to a level where you can get the benefits of the activity. You will not be able to eliminate risk. It's about managing risk and getting it down to a reasonable level. And anything you need to write here about planning points for staff to be aware of, you can write that in the box at the bottom. But as I say, any problems with risk assessment, any questions you've got, please come and see me about it. So when you finish that risk assessment, if you go back to your form, other risk assessments that are applicable to this visit, click the plus. I'm going to call it EB Risk Benefit Analysis. Choose my file, and I'm going to. That's the request for absence file, but it'll do for now. Click continue. So now I've attached all the files I need to. So just to summarize, the questions you get on the left-hand side up here are the ones you need to answer. There will be different things that will crop up if your trip is a different type. So for example, if it has an adventurous activity run by an external provider, or if it has an adventurous activity run by yourself, or if it's not an overseas or not a residential, then different questions will pop up. But essentially, the most important thing to remember about this is this process, the two-stage process, needs to be done every single time you take a student out of school, without exception. So when you're done with that, click Submit Form. You'll get this form here, alert, this can't be submitted for approval until all required details. I haven't done my insurance category, so that's a deliberate one to show you that this will pop up. If you miss a section, if I click insurance category, I can go there. I've added my category C. There's my insurance. Click continue. There we go. So submit form. It's saying I haven't done the insurance category, which is interesting. Why is that? If I try changing that category. Okay, not sure what that was essentially. So when you get to the end of the application process, you can see here it says step 1 of 2 to submit form. So if I click submit, it will then say it's been submitted to EVC, but you should now select the staff you want to receive an automatic email notification to alert them that it's been submitted for their attention. So at the moment it's going to go to these people. I don't need to send that to IT support, but it's going to go to me. If you want to put another email notification to maybe head faculty, you can put that in there and click continue. So it has now been submitted to EVC and notification emails have been sent. And so this bit here, you will not see that because you don't have obviously EVC rights. So I'm going to click submit form. And that's it done. So again, you won't see this bit because this is me as an EVC approving this form. So if I was to go to the track tab into your personal account, you would see, if I go to draft here, that it's now gone from the draft tab. It should be under the submitted tab. There it is there. So I submitted my training visit 2, and now status is with the educational visits coordinator, i.e. me, waiting for it to be approved. So that basically concludes the second video. Hopefully it's been clear. If not, come see me. Any questions, please come and see me. And don't forget to log this on your CPD Genie account. Thank you.